Hi guys, we're live. Welcome.
Oh,
Beautiful life, guys.
oh yeah.
I woke up this morning, y'all. The sun
Ah,
was shining oh so brightly. I thought about how good this life is. Back in the day, it wasn't always like this. I think about the things we done been through. I think about the place that I come from. It wasn't always easy, so every day I'm thanking God for the beautiful people everywhere I go. I just need to see your smiling faces at my show, and when you feel the real love from the family, every day is a gift.
Come on in,
Yours all
y'all.
I need. All that I've got is all that I need. I got you, maybe you got me. What more could I ask for? Beautiful life. Beautiful life. A beautiful life. Happiness, you know, it feels real good, y'all. For us to get it, we gotta work hard, y'all. And don't pay attention to the things they say when they tell you that you can make it, but you can if you try, y'all. When life is rough, I know sometimes you wanna cry, y'all. Just keep your faith and don't question. Ain't no need to stressing. Your life is still a blessing.
Come on in, y'all.
You can believe these things will only come and go. But when you get the real love from everyone you meet, it's a blessing, y'all. It's magic, y'all. All that I've got is all that I need. I got you, maybe you got me. What more could I ask for? Beautiful life. Beautiful life. Beautiful life.
All right. Hey guys, we are live. Welcome to Lunch and Learn. I hope you got your food here. Chime in if you have any questions as we're talking and we'll get to you. But today I am here with Mr. Norman Jenkins, Realtor Extraordinaire. We are talking about all things DC. We are
yes.
two DC natives born and raised here. We are so DC. So, who better to talk about the DC market than a realtor who has been in the market forever and have seen everything that up to what's going on now in DC. So, welcome, Norman. How you doing?
I'm doing great, Sandra. How about yourself?
I'm good. Thank you for joining me. Tell the people your brokerage and all that good stuff.
Well, I'm affiliated with Long and Foster, Brooklyn Sales, right here in DC, right at 12th and Newton Street, Northeast. I've been with this particular brokerage since 2011.
Wow.
However, I've been licensed since 1993. That was the first time I got licensed. And I've seen the ups and downs of real estate. I've seen how real estate have evolved. And as Sandra said, I am Washington through and through, born and raised in Washington. I'm first generation Washingtonian, but I love this city. Love it so much that I even live in this city.
All right, thank you. All right, so let's tell us about the evolution of real estate from 93. That's up until now. I know a lot has changed up to $1 million difference in home value.
Yes. When I first got into real estate back in 1993, the average home of a price of a home generally started anywhere between 89 to $110,000. That was, when you got $110,000 home, you just felt great. Now it's just the opposite. Probably homes are generally starting um, about 450,000, and that's on the low end. And you have homes that have sold in the District of Columbia only up to $49 million right now. So that's the evolution part of it, of the homes in the District of Columbia. I love DC, by the way, and I'm planning on being here for a while.
Oh, awesome. So what do you think is driving the prices so quickly and so high? Uh, I know we don't like to talk about gentrification and all that good stuff, but Is it just the people that's coming in, just the value, the different changes that they're making, building all this new stuff? What do you think is pushing that drive of the home value?
Well, one of the things that's pushing the value of homes too, DC, the median income of the District of Columbia in let's say 2021, the median income was 110,000.
Wow.
So versus uh, 25, 30,000 back when I first started. So incomes are at the medium size is has really just went through the roof. And um, DC has become a hub for jobs. I mean, people are relocating from DC from California. My neighbor relocated from California to here. I have one located from Miami to here. And it was all because of jobs, employment. And so DC is a very hot spot. They have a lot of great venues here, restaurants. They have a lot of great um, theaters, and I mean it's just a multicultural city,
Yeah.
and it's become a melting pot basically for people all across this nation. DC has, yep, small city, but it's really become a melting pot.
Yeah. And it's a
Yep.
lot of it's a lot of I call it young professionals.
Yes.
In my area, it's not, well, I guess in Brooklyn over there where
Mhm.
my mom live and where you are, it's more families because those houses got huge backyards. It's more like suburbs over there.
Yeah.
So,
Well, you're mainly talking about the Woodbridge area. The Woodbridge area
oh yeah,
is the yard space there is just humongous.
yeah,
Along with the home sales are very that's the zip code is 2018 20018,
yes.
and so those homes over there are a little different and they're built different too. Yep.
Right. So I was going because I was going to say it's not a lot of families coming. It's more young professionals, people here just working and city life. And you see the U Street corridor and H
Yes.
Street and all of that stuff blowing up. So
Yes.
that's the type of crowd or that's the type of people that I see moving into DC now more so.
Yes. Yes. A condo now is a very exciting thing, especially for someone that is relocating. They're single. They don't have any kids. They don't have a spouse. And that's a very hot thing because guess what? You don't have to cut the grass. You don't have to, worry about certain things because the condo association takes care of all of that. So all you got to do is just have fun. And generally condos, they're building them now as multi-use. There's generally a restaurant or a grocery store, so you don't have to jump in your car to go buy groceries or whatever you need. You can just
Right.
walk downstairs and there you go.
Yeah, yep. These condos right here behind me, this
Yeah,
came up. They
yeah,
nice, and I think the lowest one is 550, and they go up
yep.
to 1.7.
There you go.
Um, so so yeah, so we were talking about staying in DC, getting property in DC, and a lot of people say if you own property in DC, don't sell, hold on to it no matter what, because of the fast pace of the property value. But when are times that you can tell people when it's time to buy to sell?
Right now, it's still a seller's market out here. It's still a seller's market, and you really want to, when you put a house on the market, you generally get anywhere between 3 to 8 contracts on a house,
Mhm.
and some of the contracts have a written clause in there that they're willing to go 5, 10,000 higher than any of the bidders, the highest bidder. And so those are the type of contracts you like to get. Those are the type of contracts that really promotes the sale of the property well. So, um, good question. When is it time to sell? Seller's market right now, when things are just hot and people, the supply is really low, the demand is really high. So that's always a good time because you can pretty much price your home accordingly and pretty much get what you want for your house.
Yeah. Yeah, because I know when people say don't sell, hold on, because they want us to stay in the city.
Mhm.
But if you come up to cases like, the house is falling apart and you can't maintain it,
Mhm.
it may be, like you mentioned earlier, an estate situation
Mhm.
where, all of the siblings have their own thing going on, and you might want to sell in that incident. If you're going through a divorce, you were saying earlier, and you are ordered to sell.
Yeah, you're forced to
um,
sell.
yeah, you're ordered to sell. You have to sell right now. It's not an issue with selling a house. Now, you being more focused on listings, when you say that you're getting like immediately when a property comes on the market, they're
Yep.
snatching it up. It's a
Yep.
lot even cash buyers in DC snatching these properties up. Um,
Exactly.
what do you need to do to make sure that you're on the higher end of those offers coming in, because you have to do some work on your end to get your property ready.
Yeah. Well, the first thing when a potential seller call me, the first thing I do, of course, is run the public record to make sure that they are who they say they are. And the second thing I do is I do what you call a market analysis. And a market analysis is basically it's compared to an appraisal, which it's done not by appraisal, but it's done by agent. And what we do, we look in a radius to see similar houses and what they're sold for. And sometimes you have to go into detail because if that property's fixed up, and I'll just use $100,000 because it's easy math, and this property is listed for or sold for 100,000, but they had done extensive work to the property. They had a finished basement, updated kitchen. They had brand new hardwood flooring in. They put a new roof on. So that's a turnkey property. Nothing is needed to be done besides just move in. Put the key in, turn it, and you know, we can give you congratulations. Now, a house that might need some work, you have to start backing out and look at the size of the kitchen, the size of the living room, size of the basement. Is the basement finished? Is the basement unfinished? Does it just need some upgrading, upgrading, or whatever? So all of that plays a factor in. And so I look at that and I'm able to set a good price for the owner of the property.
Okay.
Yep. I hope that answers your question. I don't know if it did.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So let me go back to meals. What areas are hot right now?
Ah, it's you should ask the questions what areas are not hot.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that's better. That's a better question.
Well, to be honest with you, I remember back in the 90s, no one wanted to buy in Deanwood.
Hmm.
It was like, nope, I don't want Deanwood. And I kept encouraging folk to purchase a home in Deanwood.
Yeah.
And at that time, Deanwood, homes were selling for, 70, $80,000. And now you cannot find a home broke down in Deanwood for under 500,000.
Yeah.
So again, it's like, what areas are not hot? Well, Petworth is very hot. And I want people to look at this too. Most of the time, if you're close to a subway,
Hmm.
that's convenience
Right.
because you really don't have to have a car
Mhm.
in DC unless you got children. Um,
Yeah.
most of my neighbors didn't get cars until they got children
Right.
because those are different mixed in. But
Yeah.
location is very um, important. Brooklyn, where I live, where you grew up at, is
Mhm.
a hot community right now. Very hot community. The inventory is very low for homes.
Mhm.
Of course, you got condos, but the inventory is very low, and the inventory can go from anywhere from 650,000 all the way up to 1.5 to $2 million for a home in the Brooklyn area now.
Yes, because that's my dream area. That's where I
Ah,
have to settle. I need a house in Brooklyn. I do.
right, right.
Um, so for those people like me who like shocked at these prices when we see them. What kind of advice could you give us? Like, I know there are different programs, like you have HPAP that'll help you,
Yeah.
DC Open Doors. If you
Yes.
work in DC, you have what is it, EHAP or
The EHAP.
EHAP
Yeah. Yeah.
program.
Yeah.
We have it's a lot of programs that can help you get in, but
Exactly.
you still have to be ready. You know,
You have to be ready. You have to be ready. Credit, whenever you're purchasing a home, credit is always important. The better your credit score is, the better opportunity you have to purchase. And of course, your savings. Because again, the last two homes I sold in DC, there was no appraisal done. So the people came to the table with all of what they needed, and they went over the asking price, and they had money to cover if the appraisal came back not in their favor. So that's just not an average sale of a property, or that's not the average person, because a lot of people don't have just 150, $130,000 sitting in their account, just
right,
waiting, to purchase a home.
right,
Yep.
yeah. So yeah, those of us who still trying to get in,
Mhm.
HPAP is great. It's some doing. It's a process, but
It
get started
is.
with the process, and they'll give you up to 84,000 to put towards your house. So
Right.
that's good cash to have, to add to your offer.
Yep. That's on the top part of it too. So that's
Yeah.
good. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So get into that part. Now, you are evolving. So
Mhm.
you more do listings than you do buyers. Um,
Yes.
is there a reason why or do you want to share that reason, or are you still taking buyers?
Oh, actually, I'm working with buyers now as we speak. I work with buyers as we speak. One guy got qualified through you not long ago.
Yeah.
So I do work with buyers, but because I consider myself as a real estate historian, I consider myself. I'm not, I'm not called, I'm not labeled that,
Mhm.
but I know just about every community in DC, and I can give you some very important details about every community in DC, from the public transportation aspect of it to who lived in that community historically, um, who if is most of the houses in that community, if they are under the DC Preservation Act. All of that is important because if it's under DC Preservation Act, certainly you can't just go in there and put some vinyl windows in. You have to put some windows that accompany the neighborhood and the community. So that's why I take pride in what I do. I enjoy working with people, and I can steer them in the right direction as far as selling their home. If it's their parents' home, and or like I said, if you're going through a divorce, or, it's just it's a lot, and I'm willing to work with them all. I don't pick neighborhoods I work in or communities. And the thing about DC is so diverse now. I know Anacostia was a taboo area at one time.
Yeah.
Yeah, and now homes going with it for $700,000-800,000,
Mm-hmm.
um, easy. So it's just when you say what is a hot neighborhood, I say DC is a hot neighborhood.
Yes. The whole.
Everywhere in DC is not affordable though, but um, all the affordable neighborhoods are really hot right now. Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
And we're looking at on average about at least 400 on average.
I would say 450
450.
on the
Yeah.
low end. Yeah, on the low end.
Mhm.
Yep. If you can get a home for 450, jump on it.
Okay. Absolutely. Yeah.
Jump on it. Yeah.
Exactly. So we mentioned financing and being ready for these.
Interesting.
Now, obviously, if you are looking in DC, you're in that median income, 100,000 plus income, and you're looking for a home upwards of 700,000, 800,000. You most likely know financing, and make sure your credit is where it needs to be. We have
Exactly.
several. When you go over 547, or I want to say 548, you become high balance loans, and
Mm-hmm.
then over 970, 800,
Right.
970, 800, it becomes a jumbo.
Right.
You know?
Right.
So these loans require a little bit more skin in the game.
A lot more.
Yeah. We have some programs as little as 5% down, but you have to have your 740, 770 credit score.
Exactly.
You have to have the reserves in your account in order to qualify for those programs.
Yes, you do.
So just if you're looking and you're not really aware of some people don't know, but they know. You know what I'm saying? They know they make lots of money and they know they can afford to, but they're not really privy on the ins and outs. So just make sure you have the money to put down. You can borrow from your 401k. You can get gift funds. A lot of people don't know that if you're in a Fortune 500 company or a government program, you could go to HR and say, hey, I'm buying a house. What kind of programs do you have? You would be surprised the type of benefits that your company offer.
Exactly.
Even unions will help you buy a house. I had a client that was getting and this was like a $300,000 or $400,000 house, but her union was giving her $15,000 towards her home.
Okay.
So check into that. Just make sure you call. It doesn't hurt to call your HR and say, hey, I want to go over my benefits. I'm trying to buy a house. Do you guys offer anything?
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah. I know at my old company, we were even attached to like a nonprofit that will help us buy a house. So those are all things that we can use to try to get in the city, because the point of my show of the Lunch and Learn is to help people who, a lot of us, we wasn't taught this type of stuff. We wasn't taught how to buy a house. We wasn't taught credit. We wasn't taught savings, all that good stuff. So I get a lot of clients that come to me and was like, I want to buy a house. What do I do now? So I'm just like, okay, let me start these videos, put it out there. I saw a meme that says, we have the answer to every question we could ever ask in the palm of our hand. And we use it to watch video of cats.
There you go. There you go.
So I said, put the information out there, so people like you that I know have years in this business and the ins and outs, bring them on. Let's tell people what they need to know.
Exactly. Yep.
Not everybody, just because you can afford to buy $1 million house, have the knowledge that you need to be able to do that.
Right.
So
that's called, and you make a good point there, because like 2005, 6, 7, 8, there was a lot of foreclosures, a lot of short sales, because people was not educated when they were buying their homes. And they got in a situation that they lost their homes. And it was sad times, short sales, like that was going on, a lot of foreclosures, and it was rough times. And I think we recovered a lot from that, but I think we also learned a lot from that also.
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
we may be going back in that direction after this pandemic and all of these sanctions are lifted, because a lot of people was hurt through this pandemic.
Yes, there was. And it was a lot of ordinary people, just everyday people, not I'm not talking about the CEOs that they lost, a couple $1 million, and I'm not talking about them, but I'm talking about the everyday people that just didn't have.
Yeah. And what about those investors, the people that held on to their family home because they didn't want to get rid of it in DC, and then they got a renter in that said, I'm not paying my rent because I don't have to, and they had to collect the rent for 2-3 years almost.
Right. And, I don't want to say this, but I'm going to just put it out there that DC is is not a landlord friendly place, and it's not, it is very tenant friendly.
Yeah.
And so even though when things went south with the pandemic and the COVID, DC did come up with a stay program,
Yeah.
which helped people out tremendously to be able to keep their properties and to keep their homes. So, but we want to really be thankful that we had that.
Yeah.
But yeah, DC is not a friendly place for a landlord to be. I know that for a fact.
So what would you tell any maybe owners that are renting right now that may be falling behind because they're not collecting rent? Um, do you know of any programs that will help the owners out, or do you think, right now
Um,
on the list?
no, I'll go back to saying that is not a friendly place for a landlord. And even if the property is occupied with a tenant and you
Mhm.
try to sell, there's still a process.
Wow.
It's called a TOPA, the tenant opportunity to purchase.
Mhm.
And so a lot of tenants and they did just change it. I think it back in 2018, maybe 19, they changed a lot of the TOPA rights, especially when it came to single home ownership, and that's where the tenant has a certain amount of days. They have before you could hold up a sale of a property for almost a year.
Yeah.
Because the tenant had an opportunity 180 days to go get finance, and they didn't get the finance, and so when they come back, they give another 60 days, and blah blah blah. Then you have to 90 days, you have to move out. So you're in there deep in this thing for about a year, and they're not paying. And if you got a mortgage on the property, you got to pay the mortgage, certainly.
Right.
So
Right.
you're paying for them to stay in your property, and
Mhm.
you have
And
the
then
other
whatever.
bills that come along with it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. That's a
No,
lot.
it's a lot.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
always suggest getting back to the listing aspect of real estate. Like I said, the first thing I do is really the market analysis piece, and then we're able to sit down and discuss. Once I look at the property, get an actual physical look at the property, then I'm able to determine exactly what the property can go in the market for.
Okay.
But in that process too, I'm learning I have to get payoff information, because sometimes um, this reverse mortgage, that's a lien on a property. A
Mhm.
mortgage is a lien on a property. Sometimes there's a mechanic lien on the property, and there's IRS lien on the property. There's a property tax lien on the property. So all of these things you have to look at, because that affects the net value that the seller, the proceeds that the owner would receive based
Yeah.
on that. Yep.
Wow.
And IRS does take preference over everything.
Oh
And
yeah.
then and the real estate taxes come next.
Hmm.
And then if there's some mechanic liens or anything, somebody did work to the property, they didn't get paid. All that is that takes preference over that too.
Yeah. See, guys, you need to have a good listing agent that's gonna look into all of that.
Yes, you got to. Yep.
Yeah, because I wouldn't have thought. So that's why I'm on this side of the table.
Yeah. And also, I'm not an attorney, but also I've run into the fact that I know that DC has, a probate court.
Mm,
And with the probate court, if you're not careful, only want to get any proceeds out of this thing is a probate attorney.
wow.
So it's important that you look into that to
Hmm.
make sure, especially if there's some discrepancies with the siblings or the family members, whoever uh, is heir of the property. They
Yeah.
need to be aware that there is a probate, and you have to go through the probate. And if you all on the same page, that's great.
Hmm.
And generally, when it's an estate property, you want to assign a person that is very knowledgeable of probate as a title attorney, because generally this person might get 10%, this person might get 30%, this person might, so you have to, be willing that some title companies, now we only write one check, you figure it out. Well, that's a whole nother fight there.
Wow. Oh wow. I didn't even think of that. The title
Yeah,
company.
yeah,
Yeah.
very important. when I do my listing presentation. If they don't have one, and especially if it's going through a divorce or it's going through some type of estate property that they inherited, I always, you know, assign them some type of person or somebody they can choose from. A couple of title companies they can choose from that I've worked with in the past that deal strictly with probate and deal with divorce situations. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, most people, most clients that when they come to me, I'm like, well, where are you looking to buy? They say, oh, DC too rich, I can't afford. That's the very first thing everybody says. And I'm
Yep.
like, well, let's get you pre-approved first. Let's see what you can get. Let's look into some programs and let's talk to a realtor that's very well versed on DC and
Oh yeah.
see, if it's possible. Because
Yeah.
most of us want to be in DC, but we're afraid because
Feel
of
free. Yep.
seeing the trend of what's going on and how much things cost at this point.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So I appreciate you coming on and sharing this knowledge with us. I'm not as afraid as I was. Brooklyn is still, I'm just going to work hard enough so I can get into Brooklyn. That's just it.
Okay. Okay. And I'll keep you abreast of all the properties, that's on sale. That's for sale in Brooklyn.
Yes, and I'm willing
Brooklyn's
to.
very diverse right now. So yeah.
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 I did a video the other day about the one-time close, which is the construction loan. Do you see much land that's for sale where you can build on in DC?
Well, right now in the Brooklyn area, they have a lot of new housing that's going up right now,
Mm-hmm.
and the Catholic Archdiocese own a lot of that land, and
Wow.
they are piece selling it off, but they're selling it off in big lots. They're not just selling off in just a lot. They're selling off in acres, and it's for millions of dollars.
Wow.
And the pricing of the house reflects what they bought the land for.
Right.
Um, you know, uh, what is it called? Chancellor Row.
Mm-hmm.
When they first started building those houses, it started off around 600,000. I remember they invited the whole office to the open house, and now those houses are going for like 900,000.
Woo.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I call them young people houses because there's a lot of steps. They built those
Okay.
houses straight up, and there's a lot of steps. And I live in an older house. My house was built in 1925.
Okay.
And the way they built houses then, these older houses, very seldom do you ever get mold.
Right.
Very seldom do you ever get a water problem in your basement. That's a pipe bust, of course.
Mm-hmm.
But um, a lot of these homes are built differently.
Yeah.
They can build a home now probably, and I'm not, sugarcoating it, but probably a month they can have a home up.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, I see him going up. My son goes to school right there by Chancellor Road. So
Okay.
every time I ride there, it's another one up. Like it seems
Yeah.
like a new one coming up every day.
Yep.
So yeah, that's an option with those of us with the one-time close that you can do if you can find a piece of a little. Just give me a little piece.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Well,
I
you
mean,
know what's very popular too. You have a lot of older houses in the Deanwood area, and people are buying those properties for anywhere less than $200,000.
now,
And
still today?
yes, still today,
Wow.
and well, because it's a part of negotiating too. Because if
Right.
it's been sitting there since and forever, it's time to get rid of this property.
Right.
So it's a part of negotiation, and I always tell people you can get the home you want if you build it.
Right.
You
Yeah.
might even come out cheaper if you
Mm-hmm.
build your own home,
Right.
and you can get your kitchen what you want. You can get the dining room like you want. You can do all these things that you want with
Yeah.
whatever you decide to work. So yeah.
Perfect. Well, I'm gonna be calling you offline about that. So, but thank you again. We have reached our 30-minute mark.
Okay.
I have learned a whole lot that I didn't know. Thank you again. Just tell people how they can reach you.
Okay. I'm gonna give you my phone number. I like to be called. I'm one of those
Yes.
people that like to be called. So I'm 202 725-5021. And
Alright.
I'm going to keep that cell number. I had that cell number since 2000. So I had it 21 years, 22 years actually. So I will continue to have that same cell number. Okay.
All right. You know, I'm the same. I had my phone number since 04.
Okay. Yep.
301-326-7555. You can start an application today, www.approvemesandra.com. Hope is not lost. You can buy a house in DC if you want. I'll point you in the right direction. And if you want to leave a comment, guys, share this for some people who may benefit from it. Thank you for tuning in. Have a great day.
She's an excellent loan officer. I'm telling you.
Thank you.
All right. Take care now.
Bye.
Bye-bye.